Hi, in this video, I'm going to show you how to do an ETL operation from AWS S3 bucket data to Amazon Redshift service with using AWS Glue DataBrew services. As you see in this picture, this is just a pictorial overview of my demo. Yeah. So basically, in my every video, I'm going to explain you the demo in two parts. In the first part, I'm going to explain you how does this setup can be done with using a reference pictorial overview like this. Yeah. In the second part, I'm going to explain you how you can set these components at the real time with using a manual approach or with using the coding approach as well. Yeah. Then finally, I'm going to show you how does this complete setup works, and we will achieve the required aim of this demo. Yeah. So before I start with my first part of my demo, a kind request, please do subscribe my channel. That would really encourage me a lot. Yeah. So with that note, we can just directly start with this, the first part of my demo. Yeah. That is the explaining about this, this complete, POC or complete scenario, for example. Yeah. So here the scenario is, let's say that you have an application which is storing, multiple CSV file in a particular path under AWS S3 bucket. Yeah. And each file represents a set of transactions, for example. Yeah. And you need to upload those transactional data or raw data into Amazon Redshift service, which is generally acting as a data warehouse service, or the service which can be used for application purpose and all. Yeah. So in such cases, this is the demo which can help you to achieve that scenario. Yeah. Here especially I'm using a service called AWS Glue DataBrew. Okay. So I'm not using any normal AWS Glue services, but here I'm using DataBrew service. Okay. So as you know, AWS Glue DataBrew service is an enhanced version of AWS Glue services, which helps us to perform the ETL operations. So here the specialization of this database service is, this service has inbuilt capability of having a multiple recipes. Okay, so you can perform multiple recipes on your data while you are while you are transporting that data from the source to the destination. Okay, so that is the specialty of database services. Okay, by default inbuilt it has nearby 250 varieties of recipes through which you can to which that you can leverage to transform your data. Yeah. All right. So basically the flow of my demo is something like this. Okay. So here I'm going to use three components, especially Amazon S3 bucket, which is acting as a source, and Amazon Redshift service, which is acting as a destination and a data warehouse services of the scenario. And in between the real-time ETL operation doing service is AWS Glue Database service. Okay. So as I explained, so we will leverage AWS Glue Database services capability called recipe. And what we do is we extract the data present in the Amazon S3 bucket. We apply the recipes on that Amazon, on that raw data present under the Amazon S3 bucket. And finally, we transport data, in the sense we load that data, we transform that data in this, AWS Glue DataBrew itself. And finally, write the prepared data to Amazon Redshift service. What does this mean? So it means that you are retrieving the data from the source, you are making the transformations, and finally making that data as a prepared data, and finally dumping that data into a destination called Amazon Redshift, which is generally a data warehouse services. Okay. Yeah, and basically, and we all we are integrating all these components in a VPC through using endpoints. Okay, so I will be enabling AWS Glue DataBrew endpoint on the VPC subnet, and also enabling the Amazon S3 endpoint as well. So these steps I'm going to explain you very detailed manner in the next step. Okay. All right. So right now the flow is something like this. Somebody has already put down the data here. You want that is called as a raw data that will be extracted by the AWS Glue DataBrew, and you are preparing the data with using the recipes, and finally uploading that data into Amazon Redshift. Okay. So here the type of data I'm putting in Amazon S3 bucket is a CSV format. Yeah. All right. So that is basically more about this pictorial overview of my demo. Now let's go to the second type, where I will show you all these component configurations from the scratch to end, and finally I will show you a demo of how the data happens and how the data goes through all ETL operations. Okay. All right. So first one, let's go to the first component, that is a source, or that is creating the Amazon S3 bucket. So for that case, what I did is I have went to my Amazon account. This is my AWS account. In this account, I am currently I'm in a Mumbai region. Yeah. And in this one, I created a S3 bucket. So S3 bucket creation is a normal one. You can go to the create bucket. Yeah. put your bucket name and choose the region as AP South. In my demo, I'm using AP South 1. Maybe in your case, you can change it. And finally, just click on create the bucket. Okay, so that will end up with a bucket, something like this. Yeah. Under this bucket, you want to create, under this bucket, you want to create one more subfolder. Okay, you can ignore the other one. So under this bucket, we have created one more subfolder called orders. So nothing but that is a place where you are actually keeping your business data or business raw data. Okay, so in my case, I am keeping these 3 CSV files, and these 3 CSV file you can call it as a orders, batch wise orders. Okay, nothing but batch of orders. Yeah. And if I can show you this CSV file, how does it looks? So this is the CSV file I have uploaded there, right? It contains 3 columns, yeah, and it has certain data within it. Okay, so these are like a kind of a raw data of your business application. You can think it like, yeah. And later you need to upload this, this raw data into the Amazon, Redshift service, which is a database service. Okay, then this is the demo which will help you in that case. Likewise, we have 3 files. Okay, same data. The data format present in these files are same for all the rest 2 CSV files as well. Okay. Okay, so this much is we have done with S3 bucket task of this scenario. Yeah. Now we go to the next one. That is that is a source side. So that is right now we have done with the source side, that is Amazon S3 bucket. Now let me jump to the destination side, that is the Amazon Redshift service. Okay. So for this case, I have already created, okay, for this demo purpose, what I did is I have already created a Amazon Redshift cluster. Okay. As you are aware that Amazon Redshift cluster is a very costly service. Okay. Maybe be cautious while you are creating the Amazon Redshift service. Yeah. Basically for this demo, I have created a dev test flavor of Amazon Redshift cluster. Yeah. And this Redshift cluster is hosting in my default VPC provided and belongs to the Mumbai region or AP South 1 region. All right. And once the cluster is, cluster creation takes nearby, maybe nearby, 10 to 15 minutes. Okay. That's the reason I have pre-created. Basically, I will show you like how did I create a, Amazon Redshift cluster. Okay. Something like this. Redshift cluster. That's the name of my cluster. And here I have chosen free trial because this is a demo, right? So that's the reason I've chosen free trial. Maybe you can choose production since if you are hosting this in a production environment. Yeah. And finally, I have noted down my user ID and the password which I have provided. Okay, I have taken down those. This is my user ID and this is my password. I have taken in a notepad. Yeah. All right. Now, now finally, I click on a button called create. That would eventually end up with creating a Redshift cluster, something like this. Yeah. And this process is very lengthy process. It will take nearby, maybe nearby 5 to 6 minutes. Okay. All right, so now let me go back to the picture again. Yeah. So here we set our Amazon S3 bucket, which is a source. We also set Amazon Redshift service, which is our destination. Yeah. Now the time to do all those ETL operations, configurations at AWS Glue DataBrew services. Okay. As I explained, this is a very excellent service which is provided by AWS, which will help you to do all those big data tasks like ETL. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So basically on this AWS Glue DataBrew services, we perform 4 steps basically, and those 4 steps are being documented here. We're going to create a data set, then we use that data set and create a project within the DataBrew, and then finally we build the recipes on that project, and finally with using those recipes we run a job. Okay, on those project, on that targeting to that project, we run a job. So what does that job runs? Okay, when the job runs, it will do a it will perform those recipes on the data, on the project data, and finally upload that data into the destination Redshift service. Yeah. All right. So with that basic information, I will jump to the the another service. Okay. So this is again my AWS console. Okay. So don't get confused. All the page that all those my the tabs that I'm going here and there belongs to my same account. Okay. Don't get confused. And all the region wherever I'm going is I'm targeting to a region, Mumbai or AP Southeast. Okay, so for your information, okay, don't get confused. Why I have opened multiple tab is to help in this demo. Yeah, for your information. Okay, now this is a clear and clean database services. Okay, it does not has anything. Now what I am doing is I'm showing you all those bread and butter tasks. Okay, that of this demo belongs to this only. Yeah, that is the So this is like a core operator or a core processor service which does the real-time job for us. So in this service, first let's go to the data set. Okay, we need to create a data set. Okay, why we need to do the data set? In the sense that is how the steps are been documented for this demo. Yeah, first you create a data set. To target into that data set, you're gonna create a project. Yeah, and on top of that project you will be write a recipes. What is the recipes? Recipes nothing but there are certain tasks that you define on the job and on the data that needs to be performed before it loads the data into the destination. Okay, that is what the recipe is. Yeah, and finally we build the transformation recipe, and then finally we run the job. Okay, that is I will show all those steps all together. Okay, first one, let's create a data set. Click on this connect create new data set, and in this one let's give our data set name. Okay, so let me give the data set name as a cloud let be my channel name. Okay, that is a cloud quick POCs. Okay, sorry, Cloud Quick Labs. Okay, I have changed my YouTube channel name to Labs to make more sense. Yeah. So data set name is Cloud Quick Labs, and next one you have to go to the you have to select the Amazon S3 because our source is Amazon S3, and in this one enter the source. Okay, enter the source is something like this. Yeah. And in this one, okay, so in this one I need to choose the folder. Okay, so for your information, so let's choose this folder. Yeah, so maybe I need to choose the particular folder. Okay, so for example, yeah, so yeah, since this is a fresh one, since this is a fresh demo, what I do is to avoid this. Okay, if you see all those whatever the blah blah files are there, right, within the S3 bucket that is being created as part of my practice. But what I do is to avoid all those confusion. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete these. Okay, because I don't need those now. I don't need those anymore. Okay, why I'm deleting? Because it will create an abstraction in the AWS Glue DataBrew. Okay, that's the reason I'm cleaning up those. And you keep only one folder. Okay, to make the demo very straightforward, let's keep only one folder. Yeah, so let's say you have an application which has a S3 bucket and you have only one folder under this one, and you have all the three files. Okay, now I will go back to the dataset creation process, and let me cancel this. Okay, let me redo it again. Yeah, so this is doing and redoing is nothing but kind of a learning as well. Yeah, why did I do that? Because it was causing a problem for me. Okay, and make sure that you also follow the same thing. All right, so I select the same my S3 bucket. If you see the Cloud Quick Labs DataBrew demo. Yeah, and in this one now, if you see, you have only one. Okay, so let me click as and select entire folder. Okay, so you need to click on select entire folder. Yeah, and here if you scroll down, then again additional configurations. Okay, so in the additional configurations, you're going to choose the file, what kind of files that are present under this folder, that is CSV file, and the CSV delimiters are comma. Make sure that you select a comma from this CSV delimiters. Okay, and after that column headers. Okay, so treat the first row of the header is as a column, right? What does this means? In the sense, so in this sheet there are rows from 1 to there are rows from 1 to up to 64. Okay, but all those are not valid, right? So in this one, the first one is headers. We call it as a CSV headers, and that is what we are doing. Treat the first row as a header. Yeah. All right, so that's all. So that's all for now. That's all for creating the data set, and click on the create data set. Yeah, it takes less than a minute, and just that's all. So that's all you need to do at the data set. Now let's go to the projects. Okay, in the projects, now I'm switching to the projects pane. Okay, so we have created a data set. Now next step is we have to create a projects targeted to that data set. Okay, so for that case, I click on create project. Yeah, and let me call it as a demo project. Yeah, demo project. Yeah. All right, so in this one it will ask you to create a recipe as well. Okay, so that I will show you. The next one, in this one we are going to create a new recipe. Why we are going to create a new recipe, I'm going to explain you in the later case. Okay, then right now there are no recipes. Okay, for example, if I can go to the recipes, yeah, there are 0 recipes. Okay, that's the reason we need to create a new recipes. Okay, so let me revert back again. I'm back again the project, and I will give a demo project. So let's give me the name as a demo project. All right, So demo project, and the name of the recipe will automatically generated. Okay, if you see the project name hyphen recipe is the recipe. Okay, and finally, in the my dataset you're going to select this dataset. Okay, that's very important. Yeah, rest all is optional. You can ignore the optional, and yeah, if I can scroll down. So these are the certain configurations that you need to choose. Okay, very important. Okay, that's where the learning of service is all about. Okay, if you know what option is for what purpose, that means that you are expert of the service. Okay. Yeah, once once you know manually what service mean for what, then doing with the programmatic way is very easy. Okay, that is what I advise you. Okay, now we have selected the data set. Yeah, what is the data set? The data set which we have created just a while ago. That is a Cloud Quick Labs data set. Yeah, and here's the role name. So in the role name, I have already created a AWS Glue data service, AWS Glue DataBrew services test role. Okay, so let me select that role, and that role has enough permissions. Okay, so for your information, this is a role which contains an administrative privilege. Yeah, and it also has a trust to the, it also has a trust to this service. Okay, that is DataBrew services. Okay, for your information. Yeah. All right. Why it needs to have a trust to this, database service? Because this role is consumed by the databrew.amazonaws.com. Yeah, nothing but database services consuming that, or consuming that role. Henceforth, that role needs to have a trust to that one. Okay, so if I can go back, yeah. So this is the role. So let me make this screen bit smaller. Yeah. Okay, this is too much smaller. So let me go back again, and I will show you the permissions first. So in this one, I have added administrative permissions and Glue DataBrew permissions. Okay, don't get confused. Basically, I have given complete access. Okay, for this demo. Maybe for the production purpose, yeah, for the production purpose, you need to fine grain your roles. And I was talking about this one. Okay, so in the trust, if you see, it has AMazon.AWS.com trust. All right, so that's the reason we are choosing that existing role. Yeah, and then finally let's create the project. Yeah, click on create project. It will it will just start creating a project for you, and that's the place. Next we will going to do or write our recipes. Okay, so it will eventually take certain nearby 2-3 minutes. Okay, so meantime it takes a 2-3 minutes. Okay, if you see here, right now it is in progress and the percentage of completion is 0. Okay, basically what it actually doing is under the hood, it is creating a project for you, and it is trying to do a pipeline. So right now it is trying to do a build, it trying to do a connection from here to here. Right, basically it is trying to do a connection from this to here. Okay, that is extract the raw data. That is what actually happening here. Yeah, basically you cannot call it as it's right now it's extracting, but basically you can call it as a data initiation, and something like something which actually building from the backend. Basically it is building a pipeline which is needed for the next operation. Okay, next if I can explain you in a layman term, basically it's building a bridge between this one, and it's also doing a data extraction from this Amazon S3 bucket, and it will load into a data source. Yeah. All right. While it is happening, okay, so while it is happening, I'm going to tell you one more thing, okay, which is very important for this demo. Here, this, since the destination is Amazon Redshift service, the Redshift service is basically, it will be hosted in a VPC. Yeah. So whenever you create a Amazon Redshift service, it will be hosted in your VPC. And in this one, in this demo, my Redshift cluster is hosted on a default VPC. Okay. And on top of this VPC, I did certain manual task and very important task. Okay. So on this default VPC, I have created 2 endpoints, and those are very, very important. Okay, without this, this demo will not complete, or this scenario will not happen successful. Yeah. So here one is, you have to build a glue endpoint targeting to this glue, and the endpoint type should be interface, and then you have to also build, you have to also configure a gateway. That is an endpoint for S3 bucket, and endpoint type should be gateway. So how do you do it? You can just go ahead, go to this VPC dashboard, go to the endpoints, click on the create endpoint, and for example, let's say you are creating for glue, just type glue, yeah, or give whatever name you would like to, and then search for glue, and here you go, right? So it has selected like dot glue services, that is nothing but ap-site.glue services, and type is interface. Okay, choose this one, and in this one, choose your VPC here. Yeah, since I have already selected as an endpoint, so it is, that's the reason it is not showing. By default, you're gonna choose your default VPC here and selecting your subnet. Finally, create the endpoint. Okay. Likewise, likewise for S3 bucket as well. Yeah. All right. So this is all about make sure that your VPC should have these two type of endpoints should be enabled. Okay. All right. So that becomes a prerequisite. Here you go. Our project is created. Okay. So created the project, demo project. Okay. And this is how the project looks. Okay. So when you create a project, yeah, and this is how it looks, especially. So if you see here, what actually it contains? Yeah, it contains all the data being extracted from here. So it has generally it has extracted a top 500 rows of data from those from those CSV files, and it has created a table of rows, something like 500 rows, right? If I can show you the columns, okay. So if you see, so the column is order, product, custom, yeah. So order is something like integer one, product is something like string one, right? Amount is again a string one. This is a data type, this is a date data type, yeah. And that is where the it has intelligently created those data type as well. Okay, so if you see here, order underscore ID is nothing but order underscore ID is nothing but again it's integer. Product is again integer. Okay, that's the reason you see the mark called hash, yeah. Then customer ID. Similarly, ABC is meant for string. Okay, so product is string. State name. Okay, so likewise we have eight columns are being dynamically created, and data is already loaded in this one. Yeah, yeah, and this is for date. Okay, timestamp is nothing but date. Yeah. All right. So till now we are done with the project creations. Okay, now let's see what is the next task. The next task is we have to build a transformation recipe. Where do I need to build? I need to build. Okay, so I need to build on this project. Okay, so all the steps are dependent on each other. You have to perform in the same order. Okay, you cannot perform in vice versa or any other random orders. Yeah. All right. So now it's time to create a recipe. First one, let me create a recipe. Okay, so to create a recipe, what I do is I gonna create here add a steps. Okay, let's me create as add step. Yeah, and this one maybe let me go from here. So yeah, so let me cancel this one. And if I click on this one, so right now there are 0 recipes. Okay, to create the recipes, as I explained, okay, by default this database services is providing like nearby 250 types of data transformation capabilities. Okay, nothing but recipes. Okay, so in this one we're gonna use first one, the column. In the column, what we say, let's say you want to delete some data from your from this raw data. Let's say you want to delete, for example, you don't care about order ID, yeah, and you also want to delete something like, for example, where is that? So let me select this one, yeah, and then let's say timestamp. Where's the timestamp? Timestamp. I don't worry about timestamp. Okay, and then you want to also delete, for example, product order ID. Yeah, and state name. State name is important. Okay, for example, product ID is not required, state name is required, currency is required, transaction date is also important, state is also important. Yeah, and what is the thing that I can delete is product ID. Product ID is important. Okay, so let's say for now, let's say you want to delete only the timestamp, maybe the state name. Yeah. Okay, so let me put it something like this. Okay, just a product ID, timestamp. Yeah, and okay, so let me see if I can delete so product ID, customer ID, and let's delete another transaction called a transaction ID as well. Okay, so let me select this as well. Select this transaction ID, date as well. So let's say these are the dummy columns that you don't need. Okay, I'm just telling you for an example. Maybe you can. Product ID is very important. Okay, product ID is not important. Timestamp is not important, and the transaction date is also not important. For example, okay, since this is a demo and we want to delete that. Okay, so that's the reason what I did is I went to the column and then I choose on the delete, and here I have selected the columns that you need to delete, and click on the apply. So what does this do? It is creating a set of recipes. Okay, nothing but it is taking a note saying like, so yes, the user has created a recipe and the recipe number 1 is delete these columns. Okay, that is where that is where the noting is happens here. Yeah, that is how the noting happens here. All right, so now let's go to the next one. In the next one, for example, you want to do some filtering. What is the filtering? You want to filter all the data by some certain certain conditions. Okay, what is the conditions? Let's say if the if the amount of order is greater than $0, yeah. So in that case, maybe you need to add certain conditions. Okay, nothing but that is a second type of second type of maybe second type of recipes. Okay, so in this one I am choosing source column equal to amount, which is an integer type. Yeah, so if you go here, so this is an integer type, and I need to filter all the data belongs to this set and condition amount greater than $0. So I'm going to put this condition, yeah, and apply this. Okay, so this is a recipe 2. Okay, so we have applied recipe 2 now. Yeah, and all right, so right now we have done with the 2 recipes. Okay, one is delete the columns, filter values by amount. Yeah, and also let's go to the one more. Okay, let's say we are adding one more type of filtering, and this one is ascending. Okay, so let's say sort by this ascending, sort by custom values. Okay, and the source should be state name. Let's say you want to sort the order by state name. So in this data you see one column called state name, which is nothing but states of the USS. Okay, all right, so in this one I just need a custom value, so that you can put a custom value something like this. That's something New York. Yeah, and okay, so one is a New York. Sorry, apologies. So New York is the one. Then yeah. Next is the Texas. Yeah. Then we have Texas is the one. Then you have California. Yeah. And then finally we have one more state called New Jersey. Yeah. So New Jersey. So let's put New Jersey. Yeah. All right. So make sure that you have added the right values. Okay. So if I can scroll down and if we check, and the string value should be properly added. Okay, so first of all let me have this bit more. Okay, so first one is the New York. Okay, the spellings are new space Jersey, New York. Okay, New York, then the Texas, yeah, then we have the California. Yeah, so maybe you can compare from here. This is the California and you have added California, and then we are putting New Jersey, then we have the New Jersey. Okay, New Jersey. Okay, all right, so wherever there is a space we are putting in a double quotation, wherever there is no space and single string we are putting it as it is. Yeah, all right, and then yeah, so basically we are doing an ascending order of these. Okay, so then apply this one. Yeah, all right, so now till now we have applied 3 recipes. Okay, and those recipes you can see it here, right? All right, so till now what we did is we have created a job, and top of the job we have also applied a recipes. Now we are here. Where were we now? So we are here now. We have completed the step 3. Now it is time to create a job. Right? To create the job, what we have to do is we have to go to a button called create job. Okay, so there is a directly ready-made button available here. Let's create the job. This is the final step. Okay, so let me call it as a demo job. Yeah. So this is a demo job. Yeah. So this is the place where actually we do a real-time pointing from here to here. Yeah, for your information. So let me call it as a demo job, and the recipe is something like this. Yeah, so here output is we have to choose JDBC. Why JDBC? Because I'm using output format as a JDBC. In the sense, if I can explain you in another time. So whatever happens here, the REST operation at the output side, it should happen through a JDBC invocation. Okay, that is what the JDBC means. Okay, why you are using JDBC? Because I'm going to use the endpoint, that is a JDBC endpoint of Amazon Redshift service. All right, so that you can find from here. So there is a JDBC URL, right? So that you can find it from here. All right, so let's go back to this one. Job type is something like this, and output is JDBC we have selected, and we need to create a connection now. In the connection, be careful and just select whatever I have selected. Let's call it as a test connection and enter the URL. You can choose enter the URL, and from the JDBC URL maybe. So here is a JDBC URL. Okay, let me copy this, and I'm going to put it here. Yeah, here is the very important point, that is user. So the user data you can get it from here, whichever I have copied while creating the cluster. Yeah, I'm using the same user and password here. And then let's create the password as well. So this is the password which I copied during the creation, okay, during my cluster creation. Okay, and finally this is very important step. You have to choose the VPC where your cluster is sitting. That is a default VPC in this case. Okay, and finally you can choose the subnet. Okay, yeah, so maybe you can choose the all subnets. Okay, first subnet. Yeah, and in this one security group, let's choose the default security group itself. Yeah. All right, so okay, all right, maybe I will choose the first one itself and create the connections. Yeah, so it says the test connection is already exists. Yes, because I have already previously created. Let me call it as a test demo. Yeah, and then click on the create one. So basically what we did is we have created a connection for it now. Okay, and finally it also telling within this JDBC Redshift cluster, what do you need to do? So you need to create a new database table with the name prefix. Okay, so if you go to the if you go to this Redshift cluster. Okay, let me go back to the Redshift cluster. Right now I'm again going to the Redshift cluster and opening version 2 Redshift editor. Okay, query editor especially. In this one, if you open this cluster, yeah, basically it has a database called dev, and that is one we are using. Under the dev, you have one schema called public, okay, which is a default schema being given by the Redshift. Okay, and this is the one I wanted to show you. Under this one, we have right now only 7 database tables. Okay, and once we complete this, Glue DataBrew, once we complete these steps, one more database will be populated here. Okay, that is what I wanted to show you. Yeah. So basically, that's the reason we have to give the naming convention in a very intelligent way. What is that? We have to give the schema, that is public. All right. And then give the some dummy name. Okay. For example, order demo. Okay. So basically, when you give this format, automatically it will create a table name on its own. Yeah. All right. So in this one, you have to choose a current AWS account. Okay. Temporary directory, I think that is not required, and output is not required. And finally, we have to choose a permissions as well. In the permissions, you can choose the same role which we have used earlier. Yeah. All right. So maybe yeah. So this will be, let's see. Okay, what does it tells? Yeah, and create and run the job. Yeah. All right. So maybe it is telling something. Yeah. So let's use the same directory. Maybe I will use the same directory. Yeah. So that's the reason earlier, if you see. So this is the bucket again. I am using same bucket for making keeping the I'm using the same bucket for both the purpose. Okay, this bucket will be used by the AWS Glue DataBrew services to keep its raw data, and also it will use the order bucket to consume all the raw data as well. Yeah. All right. So that's the reason which is telling the temporary S3 bucket. Maybe you can create another S3 bucket and can be pointed here. All right. And finally, click on the create and run the job. Okay, that's the final step that you need to do. Once if everything is fine, then only it will create a job. Yeah, or else it will tell you that it's under problem, or there is some problem is there. Yeah. All right. So if you see here, right here you see, right, there is a one job is running. Maybe you can see it from here, or you can go ahead and click on the job field here, and the demo job is it's currently in progress. Yeah. All right. So basically, let's say while it is running, let me give you one more very important point. If you have not enabled the endpoints like a Glue endpoint of type interface and S3 bucket endpoint of type gateway, if you are not enabled on your VPC, specially targeted to the same subnet as your database Glue, then you will encounter the errors. Yeah. If you are done it correctly, maybe you can expect the good results. Yeah. All right. So basically, it takes nearby 2 minutes and it will populate the data. Yeah. So if we go back to the project again, maybe we can go back to the project and just open this project, and you will have the same screen. Okay. So this is very very beautiful, I can say AWS service they have given, and it will, this is the service I believe that it is very very useful in the current and modern IT world, okay, because we are currently dealing with so many analytics, ETL, special, especially data, through the data mining, data extraction, data mining, data refinement, okay. So all those, nothing but those are like a subdomains of machine learning, okay, and that is where this service will come very handy. Yeah. All right, so if let's wait for this one, it has already run 57 seconds, okay. Basically, we are at the end of the stage, okay. So once this, so basically what is happening here is, till now we have set up all the infrastructure, we have configured everything we need, and finally we are doing a demo. That is a real-time scenario. We are executing we are doing a real-time executing the scenario, okay. So nothing but, we have the data here, and we are invoking the job here, and finally we expect, the data to be uploaded here with the qualified data, in the sense right prepared data, a correctly prepared data. So what do you mean by correctly prepared data? Nothing but data which has passed through all the recipes that we have written on the project. Yeah, and that is what we mean. Refined data should be uploaded into the into the output at the destination side, okay. All right, so if that job goes successful, you will see output equal to success. Yeah, that is what currently I'm waiting. Once it is successful, we should see some, we should see the table being populated, okay. So right now we have seen only the 7 table. Once the job is complete, there will be one more dynamic table will be populated with the name which we have given, and from there you can see the data has been already been uploaded, okay. So that is what the main aim of this one. So let me go back this one, and let me close this, okay. So anyways, this is not required. Right now you have only 7 table, okay. Now once the job gets completed, again you should see one more table, okay. So finally let's wait for this one. Here you go. The status of the job is successful. If you open this one, and you should see it's successful, okay. So basically what does this mean? In the sense, this flow has successfully worked, and now you can expect a table being populated here, okay. If I can refresh this query editor, and you expand the dev database, and then you expand the public, and under the table, here you go, right. So you have one more table being populated. Earlier it was 7, now it is 8. Yeah, let me expand this bit. Yeah, so basically this is the table. So if I can expand this better, yeah. So we have given order demo, right? So after that, it has certainly, it has used its own, unique suffix, and it has created a table. Now you can execute your, maybe you can execute your, select query and see the data being populated here. Okay, so basically what I'm running is I'm doing select star on this table, and once you run this one, you should see a very fine-grained data. Okay. Okay, this is what we want, right? So if you see here, it has populated 1,000. Okay, so it has populated 1,000 valid, raw data or valid and refined data being populated into this, Amazon Redshift service, which is a database service. Okay. All right. So till now, we have successfully shown you the things to be shown in this video from scratch to end. I have explained you, I have given you maximum data, maximum information that I can provide in this video. Yeah. All right. So with that note, thank you very much for watching my videos. I can't request, please do subscribe my channel. That would really encourage me a lot. Yeah. So with that note, thank you. Thanks a lot.